So with American Horror Story 1984 being announced as the 9th season in the long-running horror comedy franchise, it's now time to talk about some of the story concepts and ideas that we would like to see in the season. Let's jump right into it. Hey YouTubers, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. Okay, so I think first and foremost, a lot of people are going to be suggesting that we need a slasher themed serial killer murder spree going on sometime in this season. And while I definitely agree with that, I just want to throw out, we need to have two. We need one person who acts as a real life serial killer, and then maybe we need some kind of supernatural serial killer that comes partway through the season. You know, if I had to pitch it, I would say somebody takes an urban legend, they take up that mantle, they start killing people, and it's kind of a joke or a game, kind of think more like Scream than anything else. And then maybe at some point throughout this season, we have the actual mythical serial killer, kind of more of a supernatural aspect to it. Come in, kill that serial killer who's alive, and then take up the mantle to start killing people throughout the entire season. Maybe running concurrently until they finally meet up, and at some point the audience is thinking whether or not that this guy is supernatural or the supernatural guy is out there and they're just running concurrently. That would be pretty interesting. Okay, next up, if you're going to do this genre, if you're going to do this theme, then you need reference to someone like Freddy Krueger at some point. I'm not saying the monster has to get into people's dreams. I'm not saying that has to kill them. I'm just saying that you need reference to nightmares, and you need to show something happening in a nightmare just as a reference to those movies, because what was the 80s if not Freddy Town at some points? And you know what? Robert Englund has also talked about Freddy or him just being in American Horror Story. Seriously, there's no better time to bring him into American Horror Story other than this season, so just make that happen. I think we need a little bit of an urban legend material within this season. Maybe a side story, maybe something that starts off the entire season with one character, maybe two characters, young teenagers, think like that, getting murdered somewhere out in the wilderness, just to set up the theme of the show, but also kind of winking at the entire urban legend concept that started the slasher genre to begin with. That's important. And personally, I feel like it would help set up the season, help set up whatever the main bad guy is, and potentially the beliefs of the townspeople or the camp or wherever this is going to be set up. There has to be a reason why everyone keeps secrets and is so closed off to the world. Maybe you have someone moving into a neighborhood, maybe it's just another camp counselor coming into a brand new area trying to make friends, whatever it is, there has to be a purpose. There has to be some kind of Miss Voorhees situation where they closed down the camp because someone got murdered, and now everyone's coming back after so many years and they're going to get murdered again, but by who? That's the big question. So one of the things you have to do with this series is fight fire with fire, and I think the best way you can do that is introduce something akin to the Book of the Dead from the Evil Dead franchise. They decide the best way that they can attack this mythological creature, this supernatural being, is to use their own dark magic in a magical book that calls reference to Sam Raimi's classic franchise. And going off that point, I think you can use the same thing to set up more of a Chucky-like situation, using dark magic, possession, or something else like that in order to create an inanimate object to go battle whatever it is that they need to battle, or maybe unleashing something even worse into the world that they're trying to fight. That would be really interesting, and I feel like it would be something that people would instantly recognize. The connection between the Evil Dead franchise and the Child's Play franchise would play very well into the world of American Horror Story, and I really hope they do their best to get that humor into the series and also these two concepts. And I honestly feel that you cannot have this season go by without referencing something like Pinhead from Hellraiser. You need a satanic cult, and I realize we just got done with American Horror Story Apocalypse. There's no need really to jump into satanic cults, but what if this story can serve as a prequel to American Horror Story Apocalypse with the satanic cult worshiping Michael? You bring in that concept, maybe even younger versions of those characters, and you have them unleash something from hell that's akin to Pinhead, akin to 1980s classic slasher franchises like Hellraiser, and build the story that's been connecting throughout the entire American Horror Story timeline over the last 9 seasons. To me, that sounds like a winning combination, and I really can't wait to see what happens. Found footage. We need found footage to play at least some type of a role within this television series for this season. Like I've said multiple times, the purpose of this season is digging in deep and hitting every single major point from the horror genre over the last 5 decades. Found footage was a major shift for the series. It's something you can do from the 1980s, and you can use it in a very effective method, playing off of the tropes that made Halloween so scary, where you have characters looking out from the windows of their suburbs, seeing something that they're not sure that they're seeing, and the audience doesn't know what's going on either. You can play off the exact same concept with found footage and use it with characters who have to prove what they saw to other characters and helping drive the story forward. I feel like that would really help this television show, and it would also check off another box, another horror movie subgenre that needs to be referenced within this season. And before I get into my last thing here, I have to say, if this is a horror movie genre, slasher genre, we need the Virgen storyline. Scream made this abundantly clear to anyone who didn't realize what was going on in all of these other slasher movies from the 1980s and the 1990s, but it's absolutely necessary that we get a Virgen storyline. In fact, because this is American Horror Story, I expect to see this more than anything else on this list, but mostly I expect for them to turn it on its head. Virgen, different sexual orientations, gay, straight, lesbian, trans, whatever they're going to do, it's going to be phenomenal because it's going to be different and they're going to play with that concept. Trust me, if it's a Virgin storyline, the person's not going to be a virgin, or there's going to be a different sexual orientation or something else like that. Not a knock to it. It's one of the reasons I love this show. I love Ryan Murphy, always wants to push the bounds on this, at least in terms of cable television and what networks are allowed or willing to play. Another thing I would really like to see, aliens. Aliens isn't something they've covered since season 2, and because this has the potential to be in a suburb or maybe a camp-like situation, perfect situation for aliens. I know it's not slasher based, but if we're going to explore the world, we're going to set up concepts for American Horror Story season 10, aliens needs to be the storyline. That's something I feel like a lot of fans really want to see. So finally, I realized that this is a bunch of weird, jumbled up ideas, various stuff I want to see based off my own nostalgia for that decade of horror classics, but if you ask me, the series needs all of this. As I said in my last video, I feel like the 1980s, the horror movie genre, the entire camp, fun, and ridiculous nature that came with every single franchise horror film over the course of the 1980s and throughout most of the 1990s needs to be on display within this season. It's nostalgic, it's what people want, and the camp, the humor, and everything else plays directly into American Horror Story's hands. This can be the most perfect season yet, and I want to hear everybody in the comment section below. What are storylines that you want to see them take from your favorite horror movie franchises? What are some of the concepts that you want them to explore within this season? Because I feel like more than any other season, more than any other issue that they've ever focused on, this is the one that people are going to connect with. This is the one where people understand the lore. It's not going back and looking at what witches are, satanic cults, aliens, zombies, all this other stuff where they can play with the ideas of it. This is something we grew up with. This is something that we know inherently. So everything is going to be picked up from everyone who's watching it. And that is overly exciting. 80s nostalgia has been on the rise over the last couple of years, and it's finally American Horror Story's turn. I think that that's fantastic. I can't wait to see what they do with it, and I hope all of you guys are just as excited as I am to delve into this series and figure out what the story is going to be about. I know I sounded like in my first video that I was a little down with the concept. I was just telling you the reality for the most fans who watch this show. Maybe casual fans or whatnot, people are excited. It's not what they anticipated and they're going to just drop off. We're not like that. If you're listening to this, if you're excited about this, I hope you're not like that. Give it a chance. Let's watch it. Let's see what Ryan Murphy and his team have up their sleeves, and I cannot wait to see it. Hope you agree. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. And also go down to the description section below, hit that link, and go follow me on Twitter where we can talk about American Horror Story, The Walking Dead, anything else I cover on this channel, my other channel, or any other conversation you want to have with me. Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. It's been real.